about tonight being your squad better in full strength situations?
Our goaltender and our defense, to hold a team with 5-5 goals is quite a feat. So I give them a lot of credit, and they just built off last game, and to go out and not give up any goals 5-on-5, that's doesn't happen very often. So it's a good time that it happened.
The defense just keeps breaking records. After allowing 4 goals last week, you allowed 3 goals, which I believe is the lowest this team has ever allowed in its history in a regulation game. Just talk about the run the defense is on currently.
I mean, we got a big, tough, physical defense, and it's hard to get into prime scoring area on us. And when teams get the opportunity, we have one of the best goalies in the world in Matt Vince, the backstop. And I thought that was evident today. They had a hard time getting in there, and they started to shoot a lot more outside shots than they wanted to.
Yeah. Now on short rest, how can this trend continue?
I mean, short rest for both teams. We're just going to try to do what we did tonight. Just kind of carry it over. It's usually we play 1 game a week. This is 2 games in 3 days and some travel time. But both teams are doing it, so it's pretty fair.
To start, you didn't get the first goal, but you got a 3-1 lead, 6-1 lead. Being able to get that kind of lead early, get a lead in the series, how important was it to get a jump?
Yeah, when they got the first goal, I was like, they're a pretty good team. They're on a roll, and I thought we did a great job answering their goal, and then we went on a run, and we did a great job of not letting them answer. And like I said earlier, they got 3 power play goals, but they were spread out, so it wasn't really a run. And this game, as you know, is a game of runs, and we minimized them to, if any runs today.
What's McKay been doing well to be your top scorer?
Putting the ball in the net.
Well,
Right.
What's allowed him to put the ball in the net a little more?
Well, his teammates, it's like, I don't know what it looks like from the stands, but it's not easy scoring, right? So, you get a lot of opportunities, but those special players know how to put the ball in the net, and Ian's one of them.
Seems like for both teams, really, there was a lot of settled offense, not really a whole lot of odd man rush opportunities or quick breaks or things like that. Is that kind of throughout the season you played a really well transition game, but does it kind of give you more to work with when you kind of get in there and get that?
I mean, both teams are very disciplined, and a big part of lacrosse is transition. So both teams are looking to minimize, right? I think we got maybe 1 transition goal today. They didn't get any. So it's teams aren't going to take a risk to give up transition. So both teams did a good job of being disciplined with that.
Coach, you feel like last week, the single game elimination, it's obviously for all the teams that deal with it. Asked Josh and Dane yesterday, and there's some nerves that come with that. Do you feel like the guys are able to maybe settle into a groove a little bit easier today, knowing that there's that 3 games?
Yeah, they did. Even myself too. I was like, those 1-game eliminations, like just going into a playoff series in Game 7, and you never know what can happen. And you saw last week a 5-4 game; it was anybody's game. And the first couple of shifts, though, we threw the ball away a couple times on both ends of the floor, so I was a little bit nervous about it. But then we did settle in quite well after that.
You almost feel like, because those first couple of possessions you mentioned, you feel like you have to get those out of the way in a sense there too.
Yeah, it's good to get them out of the way. I mean, at the time you're upset about them, but you got to stay positive, right? You don't want to get down on players right off the get-go and get in their heads, and you got 59 minutes yet to go, so you kind of bat them on the back and say don't worry about it, and be better next time.
Notwithstanding, you want to win Sunday's game, just to win and get to the finals, and for the stakes of the game. But how important is it maybe also to avoid a Game 3 or get that week off? Is that motivation?
It's not like we have a very veteran team, so it'd be great, regardless of what kind of team we have, to win 2 games in a row and the series. Of course, we don't want to go to Game 3, and we're going with full intent to win on Sunday. We're preparing the exact same way, and we're not trying to prolong it in any manner whatsoever. And the goal is to win it. And whether it's in 2 and 3, we'll deal with whatever situation presents itself. We have an opportunity to go there and win it, and that's what we're going to try to do.
Going back to earlier in the game, like was mentioned before, Vancouver had that penalty kill that they had at 5 minutes. They were really pushing the ball, though, even though they were on the penalty kill. Didn't really see a lot of doubling, at least right away. Was that just kind of because it was so early in the game, you kind of want to feel things out?
No, sometimes when you have a power play, guys think it's an opportunity to have a bit of a break and not get back. And they're very good in pushing the ball in transition 5-on-5, and especially when they're short-handed. So, they did try to get some opportunities. Fortunately, they weren't successful. But I talked to the guys about being responsible. Also, when you have the power play. So I thought for the most part we did a good job, but there was a couple power plays there. I can't remember which quarter. They were running quite a bit. But, we don't need to double and take a risk just to get the ball back. Like it's a tight game. Our defense is playing well. Why bother taking the risk to double somebody and he splits it and goes to the net? So we're very content with letting them have the ball on the outside, especially shorthanded. Right.
Every time this season you've had a second shot at teams, whether it's been San Diego or Calgary, you beat them, and now you beat Vancouver. Kind of what makes what about your team allows them to capitalize on having a second chance?
I mean, we got a great team, right? Like we've have a lot of the same team from last year. The core is back, and we've won a couple championships. Been to championships. The guys know how to win in our changing room, right? It's a matter of keeping these guys hungry. And the one thing we haven't talked about is this is a great team in Vancouver, and this series is far from over. And they're not going to go away. They're going home, and they're going to try to win and create a game 3. And that's what we have to deal with, is keeping our guys hungry and committing like they did today. If they can commit like they did today, I think we have a great chance of winning again. I'd like to see us minimize our penalties. I think we took way too many penalties.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks. A great, game 1 win here in this series to open up things with Vancouver. A 4-goal night from yourself. Talk a little bit about some of those highlights, including that great tic-tac with Josh and Dane.
Yeah, they played, credit to their defense, they came out and played very physical right away. And, we kind of expected that, obviously, with it being playoffs, but it's also just kind of the style they play. Saw something out of them that, you don't see often, where they're pushing out to Josh and Dane a lot more and really trying to deny the ball. So credit to Josh and Dane. Like, they weren't out trying to ball hawk or anything. They're like, all right, we're going to work for you guys just as hard as you guys work for us. So credit to those guys, trying to get us open and get us looks. And luckily for me, it was falling tonight. Obviously better than 5 goals the previous weekend total. So that helps out the team. But that tic-tac-toe one, I mean, I didn't see how it kind of developed. I just know Dane made a really good play, took a hit to make a play. Josh followed up on it, made a great, got a great loose ball, and just kind of flipped it over. Shot clock, I don't know what the time was on the shot clock. I know it was late, so it was just a matter of getting it off quick. And I think Del Bianco tried to step out to play the ball as well, so I kind of opened up the net. He had to scramble back in, and I was just the beneficiary of it.
Vancouver hadn't lost a game since acquiring Del Bianco. What was kind of the challenge of going against him, and what did it mean to be able to break through that, especially in that first half?
Yeah, I mean, he's obviously done a great job since coming back and being traded to them and stepping in. I don't know how many games ended up. You say 6 there? 7. They're on a win streak there. So, I mean, really impressive. And, we've been on streaks before, and unfortunately streaks do come to an end for whether you want them to happen or not. So fortunate enough for us, but he's a really talented goalie. It's just we did a really good job. Credit to Eric Vince, who does a bunch of our film and sends out clips, early in the week, all the shot charts, that kind of stuff. So credit to him to helping us prepare. And then, JT just putting a plan in place for us to execute. And, you had to make adjustments along the way, but we were able to do that and come out with a win.
Whenever you guys settled in, how important was it for you guys to come out to an early lead and grab that early momentum?
Yeah, I mean, especially here in front of our fans, doing that, it's huge to get them into the game. As much as you as a player want to get in the game, to get the fans in the game is a huge advantage for us too. No matter how many people are in here. So to get out to it quick, we knew they were going to come out flying. It was a matter of just kind of weathering that storm and taking the punches and rolling with them. And obviously we did a great job of that tonight. And like I said, getting the crowd into it, like hearing guys' goal songs and hearing them chant how many goals they want and all that, it's just awesome. So if we can get them involved, it helps us, and it's an advantage for sure.
Was there any discussion at the start of the fourth about not letting up, or you had obviously 5 goals more than 2 goals, but you had that lead against them last time they were here? Was that a talk at all on the bench, just not let them get back in this at all?
Honestly, I didn't know. I knew that we had a lead on them last time. I didn't know it was just about the same amount. So, short answer, no, not necessarily. But it wasn't no in terms of relating it to the last game. Obviously, no matter what happens, especially in the playoffs, lacrosse, it's a cliche, but it's true. It's a game of runs, and anything can happen. So, they scored, I think, 3 power play goals. So, just doing what we can. I think I mentioned it last week. If the ball's not dropping for certain guys, trying to take away transition, making sure and taking pride in that. I think we did a really good job of that tonight. I don't know if they had any transition opportunities, and they're a team that pushes really well. So proud of our guys for that, for sure, and battling for loose balls, just all those little things, just making sure we're doing them to the best of our ability, and just making sure that if they do score one, trying to stop that run right away.
That's the 3rd game in a row now where you really clamped down on transition. I mean, Halifax, San Diego, and now Vancouver. Are you guys doing something different to stop the transition, or is it just coming together?
It's nothing different in the game plan. I think it's just more pride in it, and I think we've done a great job, like you said, recently, and I think the Georgia game, they pushed a bunch on us. Obviously, it was a unique situation that night with them having to win to get in, and it didn't matter really for us in terms of seeding or anything like that. So it's kind of a weird one there, but it's just something that we take a ton of pride in, and we want to make sure transition's a really easy way to score. So trying to take away those opportunities and limit them as best we can.
You mentioned about limiting Vancouver's transition opportunities. You guys also didn't really have that many transition opportunities. I believe 1 transition goal. They were just really quick off that line change. As you kind of settle in on offense, you're still getting the ball down there, right? But then you're using the shot clock, things like that, to your advantage. Does it give you kind of different looks and strategies that maybe you're not used to in past games, right? Where you're running that ball quick down the throat.
Yeah, I think our transition guys did a great job of trying to find the opportunities to go and then not forcing it too, and just taking care of the ball and taking pride in it. And then in the 2nd and 4th, it's a longer change, so you can get O guys stuck on defense, and our D guys can change. So you try and take advantage of those situations. So definitely try to look into those. But again, credit to our transition guys just being smart with the ball all night.
What can you say about the defense and the goaltending, and 4 goals last week, 3 goals in this game, and being able to put back-to-back performances together like that as a team?
Did you only ask that because he's in here?
That's about 50%.
No, it's the great thing about our team is obviously from Vino to Pre to Doss blocking shots. I could go down the whole list. Our defense takes a ton of pride in, trying to put guys in situations that they're not comfortable in, and then if they are getting shots, getting them the ones that either Vino wants to see or Doss wants to see. So they do a great job, and then trying to get first-time loose balls, a lot of pride in that, and then getting the ball, pushing in transition. So I've talked about it a bunch, but I think it's just a pride thing for us, and not letting another team come into our arena and do better than us at, any kind of category.
Right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Shades of New York and Buffalo in 2009 by the same score. I don't know if you remember that game all that much, but
Yeah, there's just a few more fans, I think, here.
Certainly a great performance by you. Even I believe less just shots taken on you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not just saves. If you could speak to, I guess the guys in front of you that really just limited those opportunities, and when they did get in, obviously you were there to backstop those.
Yeah, for sure. You look at that game. I think if we rewatch that, we'll see that everybody did a great job getting in lanes, getting out in hands, and soaking shots, and that's what it's going to take in order to win in the playoffs. So we got a veteran group, and I think our guys took a challenge. Last time we played them, we led in 13, and our guys came out with a game plan, and I think we did a pretty good job executing it. And I'm pretty sure we'll see. They're a great team and well coached. So they're going to have a game plan, and we're going to have a tough test. On Sunday.
Vancouver had 31 shots off target, and counting the block shots, more shots that didn't get to the net than ones that did. How much of that is your defense and kind of forcing them into those kind of places?
It's probably all of it. I think we have a big group back there, and we take up a lot of space, and it's, especially when we start blocking some shots early, guys start, maybe gets in their heads, and we force a lot of, shots that they're not, willing to take. And again, we did a great job getting in hands and making them miss shots. They have a great group. Some of the best O guys statistically this year, and again, we're going to be in a tough test on the road.
Is there something about playoff lacrosse that's allowed you to have like such a higher save percentage at like 91.9% today compared to roughly 79% during the regular season?
Yeah, I don't know if I have a real good answer for that. I think a lot of it comes down to, maybe the preparation, not only myself but of our group, and I rely heavily on our defense, and so I think maybe collectively as a group, it's not just me, it's how we play, and maybe we give up less transition opportunities. All those things kind of, I think, lead to that end result that you were just saying, where maybe a higher save percentage. It's about looks that we want to give up, and fortunate tonight, some of their shots miss the net, or they hit the pipe or whatever, and it just ends up with us, getting a solid win.
I believe this is your fourth consecutive playoff series, or playoffs, allowing 4 goals in one of the games, and obviously keeping the core of Priolo and Weiser, and adding some new people like Pauly into the mix. Just what about the defense? Makes it an annual thing to where y'all are causing teams to not score more than 4.
End of the day, there's a lot of trust back there. We have a lot of guys that have been doing it for a long time, and that familiarity, when you have a guy like Paul Dawson in front of me, Steve. I played a lot of games with those guys, and they know what I like, and I know where they want to be. So we try to work game plans around those type of things. And again, a lot of those guys have had great careers because they play big in big moments. And tonight's just a small sample size of that.
Matt, do you feel like this group just a little bit more comfortable coming into a series as compared to how maybe nerve-wracking those single game eliminations are? Did you sense that the group maybe had just a little bit more comfortability, nerves were down in this matchup?
Yeah, I don't know necessarily. I still feel the same before every game. So maybe you don't feel as stressed as you did, in that one and done type of situation where a lot of the unknowns. You get a little bit of, you can feel a little bit more comfort that that it's just not one loss and you're out, or one win and you're in. And it's gonna be a tough test, especially on the road, and quick turnaround, and hopefully we can come out with the same type of game plan, same type of performance. But ultimately, that team's a great team, 7 or 8 wins in a row, and we're gonna have our hands full.
Knowing what's at stake Sunday, how do you just kind of keep that message that you got to attack it one game at a time?
Yeah, I think just hopefully come into with the same mindset as today, and I try to break it down to one save at a time, one shift at a time, those type of things. Break it down into the smaller increments, and hopefully we'll be successful.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.